Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Coach Kevin here. And the first thing I'm going to go ahead and do to get us started is share my screen with y'all. Some things that'll be helpful to us today and going forward. First thing I would like to share is that we have a Facebook group that coincides with this meetup. The Facebook group has exactly the same name minus the city initials. So our Facebook group is called I Want to Be Really Rich, and I do not apologize for it. Again, same name as the meetup group, I Want to Be Really Rich, and I do not apologize for it. And you can find us at facebook.com/groups/ I Want to Be Really Rich, or you can just go into the search bar there and start typing in I want to be really rich and I do not apologize for it. It will pop up for you. So why would you want to join the Facebook group? A couple different reasons. One, it's a place where, like right here, we post special announcements. So usually at the very top is pinned anything that's pertinent like that. However, what is next after that is we put the recordings. You could see this is last Friday, and then somebody had some questions and we help comment on those and help people out. And again, some additional days. And then if you go a little bit further, you'll see that I posted in here. Maybe I just passed it. Anyhow, if there's any, oh, here we go. Here's one of them. So for instance, the day after Thanksgiving, we utilized a particular book to study that day. It was just a one-day study and we had the book available. So I put it here so you guys could get a copy and follow along. So when we're doing studying, I'm trying to find things that exist out there. Well, I have a lot of them. I'm trying to utilize is a better way to put it, not find, I already know where they are. Utilize things that you guys can go ahead and get a hold of that you don't have to go pay money for to follow along with us. So I try and find things that are available that somebody has made for free that I've already utilized myself and found to be very valuable. That also being the case, I want to show you what we're in the process of studying right now. We're in the process of going through material in a book called Hidden Treasures. You're welcome to go get a free copy of it. It is in our group. You could just go in there and download it from there. However, if you want to get it from the exact same source I went and got it from, you can go to hiddentreasuresbook.com, scroll down just a little ways, and you'll see this right here where it says click here to download. And of course, name, email address, you know the drill, and you will receive it from the author. Now, the author actually happens to be a good friend of mine. Her name's Leslie Householder. I have known her since, what is it now? December of 2005, maybe? Either December 2005 or January of 2006. Anyhow, I went through a seminar. She was a coach and a facilitator for Bob Proctor back at the time. Now she's independently doing things on her own, just like I am. At the time, though, I went through a Science of Getting Rich seminar taught by her that totally changed my life. And we became friends and have moved forward together in learning how the law of attraction works and how to apply the additional laws so that we can receive more money, income, and wealth into our lives. I wanted to go ahead and share this specific book because it goes over not only law of attraction, which is actually a secondary law to a law called the law of vibration, but it goes over all of the laws. Now, not every law of the universe, but what it goes over is all the laws related to attracting more money and wealth into your life. A lot of people think it's just the law of attraction. They don't realize that there's more to it than that. They don't realize that they might be actually disobeying a particular law unknowingly, and that's why they're not getting what they want. So by sharing with you all the laws that interact with each other in receiving money and wealth in our lives, that will help open the awareness to you of how it really happens so that you can then make the choice to follow through and obey the laws. You can't obey a law that you're not aware of. However, like gravity, you may not be aware as a little child of gravity and how it works. But if you climb up onto the counter and then you start crawling and you try and crawl off the other end and you fall and hit yourself on the head, it does not matter that you did not understand the law of gravity. You're still going to be injured probably as a child, without knowing, and you're going to cry and scream and feel bad, and who knows, maybe go to the hospital and everything, even though you're completely innocent, like you weren't purposely trying to break any law, but you did. So you still have the consequence of it. Now, when I refer to law and when Leslie refers to law, we're talking about the laws that govern the universe. We're not talking about laws like, hey, you know what, traffic laws, or, you know, we're required to pay taxes or things like that. The reason I want to bring that up is most every person on the planet that drives, for instance, at one time or another, if you've been driving for years, whether it was on purpose or accidentally, you've broken a traffic law. You were speeding a little bit, you were out of your lane. Oops, you didn't quite slow down at the stoplight the way you're supposed to. And maybe you received a ticket for that, a citation. Chances are, though, that you've probably broken the law way more frequently than you've received any kind of punishment for breaking that law. So I don't want you to think about the laws of the universe that way. I want you to think of them again like gravity or something like that, that even if you break the law unknowingly, you're going to suffer the consequence. Because if you don't think of the universal laws that way and you think of them as optional, like the laws of society, you are going to hurt yourself either on purpose or unknowingly, and you're not going to get what you want when it comes to manifesting more money and wealth in your life. Okay. So we're studying this book currently. We're taking it apart. We are on page 47 of the PDF file out of 115, and we've made it to lesson 3, the law of vibration, which is essentially the law of attraction. So here's how things are going to go now. I'm going to go ahead and read this book to you, parts, well, not the whole book today, right? I'm going to read a part of it to you, and we're going to kind of take it apart, and I'll give commentary why I think it'll be helpful to you. Then what I'm going to do is I like to leave somewhere around 10 minutes, sometimes 15, we'll see, for you guys. And this is where you have the chance to interact and share your thoughts, your feelings, your experiences with the subjects we're talking about, or other things related to manifesting money and wealth in your life that you've done effectively. The other thing we're going to do here is give you an opportunity to ask questions. Now, I know from time to time right now, you guys are typing into chat. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not even looking at it. That way I can stay on track. I'll go ahead and interact with you guys at that 10, 15-minute mark that we'll have together to do that. But I want to stay on track and help us learn and become aware of how these laws work so that we have more success in our lives in applying them. I learned how these things worked back when Leslie was teaching them, and then I hired Bob Proctor to be a coach of mine, and I've learned more from him, and I became a coach and facilitator for his programs also. I've also worked very closely at one point in time with Robert Kiyosaki and Sharon Lechter. Robert's the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So I would consider those my two bigger mentors or biggest mentors in relationship to money in a practical sense and in a law of attraction sense. And I can tell you right now that most people inadvertently disobey the laws and don't get the results they want. I, just like Bob Proctor, you'll hear his story. He started studying, and he'll call it accidental. It wasn't accidental in a sense, but he did not fully understand what he did to be successful. He went from making $4,000 a year in 1 year to making over $15,000 a month by the end of that year, and then a following couple of years later, over $1 million. So that was a huge change for him. I had a period in my life where I went from making $5,000 to $6,000 a month to where it was multiplied by about $50,000 a month. Yes, I was studying and learning and growing, but I still didn't have the full understanding of how that happened. I was learning it at the time, and I was able to reprogram myself in such a way that that happened. But how to keep it as a long-term thing, it stayed around definitely for quite a while. But what I learned is that there were things I was doing right that I stopped doing that I needed to go do right again in order to start having wealth and increase all over again. So here we go, lesson 3, law of vibration. The law of vibration states that everything is, I should say, is in a state of vibration, and also that vibration is a medium for transferring signals. Let's break it down. Flashback to ninth grade chemistry, all things vibrate. We learned from our ninth grade science class that everything is vibrating. Solids, liquids, and gases are all made up of molecules that are in a continual state of movement. The faster the vibration, the more fluid a substance is. Water is made up of two hydrogen molecules joined by an oxygen molecule. If these molecules are vibrating at a very slow rate, then the water is in the form of ice. When the air molecules around the ice are moving very rapidly, then as they bump up against the surface of the ice, that movement is transferred to the water molecules, and they also begin to move more rapidly. This is what happens when warm air begins to melt a piece of ice. There is a transfer of energy from one substance to another through vibration. Eventually, the ice becomes water this way, and if energy in the form of heat continues to increase the rate of vibration of the water, then the molecules will vibrate so rapidly that they will begin to break apart and become steam and then vapor. The water still exists, but the molecules are so far apart now that we do not see them as water any longer. This is a little reminiscent of lesson 1, isn't it? Number 2, vibration is a medium for transferring signals. In a way, we have discussed how heat can be transferred from one substance to another through vibration. Now we're going to look at how signals are transferred through vibration. One example of vibrations around us is in telecommunications. I'm not going to get real scientific about this part, but I think you'll agree that there are signals all around us that we cannot see, which are transferred through the medium of vibration. They're called microwaves, radio waves, and whatever cell phones do. We can now easily connect to the internet while we're driving down Main Street. Even fiber optics use impulses to transfer data, which is another form of repetitive movement or vibration. Color, light, sound, these are all demonstrations of vibration. When we see two different colors or hear different kinds of sounds, we know it is the vibration or variation in wavelengths that distinguish the difference. Did you know red has a wavelength of approximately 900 nanometers, while violet has a wavelength of approximately 400 nanometers? The other visible colors have wavelengths which lie somewhere between these figures. When I turn on a radio and tune into a station, I hear music. Did I put the music into the room by turning on the radio? No, the music was already there. The machine just made it audible. It went from inaudible to audible by adjusting the tool. Because of these invisible signals, I can take a little gadget, punch in a handful of numbers, and speak to a specifically chosen individual on the other side of the planet. The mind of man created the tool. Is there any question that the mind of man has the capacity to be such a tool? It's a stretch to comprehend it, but worth considering. This brings to mind one of my favorite poems. The poet Carolyn Pearson gave me permission to include it here. It's titled Prayer. The radio set called Prayer is designed for a remarkably simple repair. When the line fails, there is no doubt which half of the set is out. Our spirits have a body equipped with a brain. We are God's crowning creation. We can learn how to use the inherent powers he gave us. As you read on, you'll discover that this is really very simple. It does not require great effort in telepathy or anything strange. You're using yourself as this tool all the time already. But understanding how it operates helps you take better control of the circumstances in your life. It lends to peace and eliminates fear to understand these principles. So here we sit inside this body we were given at birth. As infants, it was all we could do to learn how to get those little fingers into that mouth. We'd spend all day long trying to fire the right neurons to control the right muscles in perfect balance to achieve the desired results. In this way, we learned how to crawl and walk and create vibrations with our vocal cords in ways to help us get what we wanted. As we grew, we got better at all of it. At some point in time, most of us quit exercising our mind to see what else it could help us do. Think about that. At some point in time, most of us quit exercising our mind to see what else it could help us do. We were satisfied with our circumstances. We had food when we needed it. We got where we needed to go, and we knew how to get everything that baby could ever want all on our own. What about now? Are you satisfied? Do you live the kind of life you'd like to live? What would you change? Just because we grew up, it doesn't mean there isn't more for us to learn about the tools God gave us at birth. He has said over and over that we need to be as little children. Little children are eager to learn and never satisfied. Don't misunderstand, we can be happy and grateful for all He has given us. But to be satisfied is the beginning of decline. In speaking to the Philippians, Paul said, I know both how to be abased and I know how to abound. Everywhere in all things, I'm instructed both to be full and to be hungry, both to abound and to suffer need. As children of God, we have within us creative powers. That was a characteristic that we inherited from the Father. When a child takes a crayon and designs a picture unlike any other that has ever been put to paper, that child is demonstrating that she has a portion of God's creative powers within her. Maybe it was a purple giraffe. Isn't that exciting? I never quite celebrated creativity the way I do now. It begins in the mind. She saw something in her mind and held it there until she saw it on her paper. Her hand knew just what to do, and it got better with practice, didn't it? Now take a moment and visualize the way you'd like to see, or the way you'd like your life to be. Be like the little girl with the purple giraffe in her mind. It doesn't have to seem real or even possible. It only has to be vivid. Exercise the creative faculties in your mind to come up with a wonderful new picture for your life. Take a moment to write down with detail the idea you just created. So, new picture for my life, write it in present tense as though it were true. I don't know that every one of you came prepared for this right now. So what I recommend that you do, please, is go download the book or go back into the Facebook group later today and get it. And also the recording that we're doing right now will be in there later today or sometime tomorrow morning. But I do recommend that you take time to do this. Okay. Stay with me on this. I think you'll find a powerful paradigm shift as we bring it all together. Now read this carefully. The physical counterpart of your collection of non-physical ideas has a specific vibration that distinguishes it from anything else. Just as a red light has a specific wavelength, and just as a cell phone in Tibet has a specific identifier, so also do everything and situation in the world have a specific vibration. Feeling skeptical? Keep reading. And wipe that quirky look off your face. It's revealing your vibration. The outer conditions of a person's life will always be found to be in harmony related to his inner state. The soul attracts that which it secretly harbors, that which it loves, and also that which it fears. Men do not attract that which they want, but that which they are. Do you realize what this means? This means that life, as you know it, is already in perfect harmony with the thoughts and feelings stored in your mind for years, months, days, or even just moments ago. Whether or not you like your circumstances on a subconscious level, you're right at home. So what's the goal? To put ourselves, our bodies, this gift we were given at birth, into a vibration that is in harmony with the thing or circumstance we desire, instead of the circumstances we already have. When I first learned that I was in complete harmony with my financially stressful life, I fought the idea. There was no way I could be comfortable with things as they were on a subconscious level. I was so completely frustrated with my circumstances. How on earth could I be at home with them and not even realize it? Then I began to pay attention to my thoughts and feelings and began to force myself to daydream and feel what it might be like to enjoy life the way I really wanted it. Such a simple task, but it's so hard to do when you aren't used to doing it. As I practiced this, it was harder than I thought it would be because thinking about doing isn't the same thing as doing it. I discovered that pretty soon new ideas began to come my way, new opportunities, new people, and new hope. If you, on the other hand, are convinced that your surroundings are definitely out of harmony with who you are, then ask yourself, when was the last time I visualized my life as I really wanted and allowed myself to feel the way I expect to feel if it were already true? If you've done that and allowed yourself to believe that the new circumstances are truly on their way, and if you feel more emotion related to life as you want it than you do about life as it is, then it is only a matter of time before your circumstances will be reflected or will reflect the thoughts of your heart. By allowing yourself to feel the new circumstances, you're putting yourself in a new vibration, which is harmonious with the circumstances you seek. All you need will be drawn to you as naturally as a moth to a light bulb. Emotion is the key. Whatever your dominant emotion is what determines your future. Let me repeat this. Emotion is the key. Whatever your dominant emotion is what determines your future. In other words, if you feel grateful and excited about a prosperous future, but more often feel a stronger emotion of anxiety and worry about financial bondage in your future, the negative emotions will keep you in harmonious vibration with the state of financial bondage and stress. Practice gratitude. Practice daydreaming about life the way you want it, and soon you'll have changed the condition of your heart, as we know. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. It's only a matter of time. Putting yourself in harmony with a certain type of situation in an effort to bring it to you is not unlike how the attraction of two different physical objects work. When two objects or substances are in harmonious vibration, meaning their frequency is compatible, then they are drawn together. For example, water will adhere to just about anything it touches. But if you take a droplet of water and a droplet of vegetable oil and bring them together, there's absolutely no attraction. They're not in harmonious vibration. I can't tell you how to measure the difference in vibration between, say, a rundown, greasy fast food restaurant and an exclusive gourmet restaurante, but I can feel it. I think you can too. I can't say how to measure the difference between the vibration of a 1969 Volkswagen Beetle and this year's model of the top of line Mercedes, but I know there is one. Different genres of music all have different feel as well. According to Bob Proctor, a feeling is nothing more than a conscious awareness of a particular vibration. Digest that for a minute. A feeling is nothing more than a conscious awareness of a particular vibration. Do you doubt that you are in a certain vibration? You can sense other people's vibrations. You can sense when someone is looking at you from behind. Someone comes into a room with a negative vibe, and you may ask, "What's wrong?" And they might say nothing, but you know they're lying because even the dog knows there's something is wrong. The kind of vibration that we are in is changeable and within our control. We change our vibration by changing our thoughts and the feelings generated by those thoughts. Prayer. Too often our prayers and our thoughts, not to mention our actions, are out of harmony with each other. For our prayers to be effective, all three aspects must be in agreement with each other. Not what he wishes and prays for does man get, but what he justly earns. His wishes and prayers are only gratified and answered when they harmonize with his thoughts and actions. By the way, and that's how you earn it. A religious or spiritual application. The nature of our thoughts will also be a huge factor in whether or not we're able to become in tune with the Spirit of God. We must discipline and purify our thoughts and feel gratitude. I mean, really feel gratitude for something. And then it becomes easier to feel and recognize communication from Him. He promises, "Draw near unto me, and I will draw near unto you." When I conduct seminars, I like to illustrate this with two large tuning forks. If they're in tune, I can strike one with a mallet, and the other one will actually begin to sing. If they are not in tune, you can strike one with the mallet and the other will stay silent. It's all about the law of vibration. As one of my favorite speakers, John, by the way, points out, this is how two people sitting in a church meeting can feel completely different about what is being said. If you're in tune with the Spirit, it does not matter who is speaking or what is being said. The Spirit will communicate with you directly. A perfect example of this, a church leader visited a children's meeting and took notes fervently as the young child gave a simple talk about God's plan from the tiny pulpit. The leader was in tune with the Spirit of God, which delivered a powerful message to his heart through the child's simple words. In terms of being in tune with the circumstances you desire, it is important to realize that whatever thing or circumstance you desire has a certain vibratory characteristic. Furthermore, when you're finally in harmony with it, it will become part of your life. If you're not in harmony with it, though it is right there available to you, no lasting connection will be established. On the other hand, once you are in harmony with it, you will feel it coming, even before it is with you. You'll just know it's on its way. Additionally, it's important to realize that there is abundance. Nobody lacks because the supply is lacking. There is more than enough of everything we could want. There is plenty to go around. And if it should run out, more would be created from the same raw material God used to create the world. So don't think you lack because there is lack. There isn't. There is only abundance. Sterling W. Sill, now a deceased member of the First Quorum of 70 of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, wrote, "Think of the lavish abundance with which creation surrounds us. Everything we could possibly wish for has been placed within our easy reach. It was certainly intended that everyone who wished it should have an abundance. So why do we experience lack? We only lack because we are not yet in harmony with the abundance we desire." Whoa, heavy stuff, I know. Let's take a break for a story to illustrate. I'm gonna keep going with this one. Christmas wish come true. One year, my children really wanted some Lego building blocks. My oldest had at least 3 particular sets in mind, each costing up to $50. Economically, I had a hard time justifying such a purchase, but I taught him to write down what he desired and believe. No, I wasn't going to just supply it. I wanted him to learn the power behind applying these principles. Several times he came to me distraught because he knew I wasn't going to buy them and doubted the principles. Each time I just encouraged him to believe and to imagine how awesome it would feel to get the blessing he desired. Sometimes I also felt doubt, but proactively pushed the emotion aside, knowing that there really is no harm in just believing. When I have a choice, I choose to believe. For all I knew, he'd get creative and think of a way to earn a bunch of money and buy them himself, which was a stretch to consider since even I couldn't think of a single thing to create an extra $150. We had a very small set of Lego blocks, which were 25 years old, very basic, just blocks and wheels. My son wanted the building blocks with all the bells and whistles. He had his sights set on the specialized kinds, the pirates, the animals, the works. He decided in his own 9-year-old way that he was no longer in harmonious vibration with the plain old set. I brought my children together and said, if you want better blocks, then you need to make a place for them. Grandma would like this old set for when her grandkids come to visit. Would you be willing to give her your old set, the way we have a place for new ones? There is a brief explanation of the Sea of Galilee principle behind the idea at the end of this chapter, and the vacuum law of prosperity at the end of the book. In the meantime, my husband and I shopped the online auctions, looking for a phenomenal deal on a huge pile of Lego blocks. Then one day at work, a coworker approached my husband and said, "My 12-year-old son has a bunch of Lego blocks that he doesn't use anymore. Could your kids use them?" This came out from the blue, like vapor gathers into a cloud. In fact, by the time he arranged to take them, she had contacted her relatives and they had contributed all of theirs as well. 4 massive boxes full: pirates, animals, spacemen, spaceships, castles, more than $1,000 worth. The idea cloud had become heavy, and oh, how it rained Lego blocks that day. Our Father in heaven is good, isn't he? You should have seen my children's faces on Christmas morning. We were just as excited as them as they were for themselves. I mentioned this experience to my friend, and she said, "We did the same thing for a snowboard." And I thought, how interesting. We had no inclination toward getting a snowboard, but they did. They had no inclination toward Lego blocks, but we did. We both got what we wanted. We both received that which was in harmony with the thoughts and intents of our heart. If a son asks bread of you, that is a father, will he give him a stone? Or if he asks a fish, will you give for a fish, give him a serpent? All things whatsoever ye shall ask in prayer, believing, ye shall receive. Then there's the story of our Suburban. I won't get into it here, but I have to say that until I fixed the idea in my mind and held it there long enough, I would not have been comfortable in the newer Suburban. It was too nice for the likes of me until I allowed myself to think differently. It is all about vibration, holding the image of what you want in your mind and then feeling the gratitude you expect to feel when it's yours. You move your tool, your body, into a vibration that is in harmony with that which you desire. I remember the day when my husband announced as we barreled down the freeway in the old beat up brown Suburban, "I am no longer in harmonious vibration with this Suburban." I, on the other hand, was fine with it. I despised how it looked, but I didn't want to be ungrateful. It took me some more time before I felt okay about looking for a way to own something a little more dependable and a lot more beautiful. All right, we are going to stop there for now and give you guys a chance here if you want to. Cool. Welcome everybody. So this is our opportunity to share our thoughts, our feelings, our opinions, our experiences in successfully applying the principles and manifesting money and wealth in our lives. And this is also an opportunity for you guys to ask questions, potentially about what we read, or again, related to manifesting more money and wealth in your life. So what you can do, if you like, is when you're ready to share, just go ahead and come off of mute. If 2 of you come off at the same time, we'll try and take you in the order that you came off. And we'll take some time now for maybe 2 to 4 questions or comments or whatever you guys have. It's open to you.
I just want to say I'm so sorry that I never put the intention for my son's Lego monorail. For years, that kid wanted that Lego monorail and it was so expensive and I never did break down and get it for him. But now thinking about this story, wow, we probably would have had 3 Lego monorails by now. So just wanted to share that moment because that really resounds with me. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for sharing that. Thanks for sharing that. I recently read in a different book, it's called The Power of Awareness by Neville Goddard. And he was giving some case studies in there. And one of them was about a little boy. So this little boy's grandma went to go see this guy, Neville Goddard, and to learn from him. Basically, Neville was her coach. And she came to visit him and she brought her grandson along, and he was somewhere around, I want to say 9 years old. And he just kind of played in the room and was playing with a truck or something, and didn't really know he was paying attention to anything that was going on. And Neville was training grandma basically how to manifest what she wanted. When it was all done, the boy said, "Now I know how to get what I want." He wasn't even talking to the boy, and and grandma's like, "Well, what are you talking about?" He goes, "Now I know how to get, a puppy." And grandma's like, you can't go get a puppy. Your dad hates puppies. Your mom and dad won't let you have a puppy. You know you can't have a puppy. And you know, this wasn't meant for you to be taught how to do this. Can't go get a puppy. He goes, well, I know how to get it, so I'm going to get one. Interestingly enough, what he did is he got in vibration with it. He didn't go beg mom and dad any longer. He'd already done that for however long he'd been doing that, and they always said no. So he ended up going, and especially at night when he was getting ready to go to bed, he pretended like his puppy was laying in bed next to him, and he petted his puppy. And then in his imagination, he would take his puppy out for walks and play with his puppy and do all these kinds of things. Anyhow, after 3 weeks of the boy basically doing this without being deterred at all by anybody, the school district that he was in announced that they were having a contest for like Be Kind to Animal Week. And they wanted people to write essays about, you know, why they would like to have a puppy. So all the kids in the entire district were asked to write their reason for wanting a puppy. When all was said and done, the boy won. And here's the interesting thing about it. Okay, so he won, and it was made such a big deal that the news showed up. In other words, the TV station showed up at his house, and the reporters were there, and they put this big thing in the newspaper and everything else. And so grandma's telling Neville about this after it happened and said, you know, if somebody had given him a puppy, his parents would, or offered to give him a puppy, parents would have said, no way. If somebody would have given him money to buy a puppy, his parents would have taken that money and put it in the bank for him, but they wouldn't have allowed him to have a puppy. But because the way he won the puppy and the award that he got and all the hoopla and how he ended up on TV and in the news and everything else, his parents couldn't help but let him keep the puppy. And the puppy that he ended up with was I forget what kind it was, but essentially he not only ended up with a puppy given to him, the kind of puppy he got that they were giving away was the exact same puppy he wanted. So he got himself into vibration, utilized the law of attraction correctly, and not even his own family could stop him from getting what he wanted as a 9-year-old little boy.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Anybody else? Any comments or questions? Or you guys all have everything you want?
Kevin, I have a question.
Yes.
Does law of attraction go hand in hand with smudging?
I don't know. I've
Okay.
never heard the term smudging, to be honest.
Burning sage?
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
Okay.
It could, I guess. I'd have to look that up, I guess, to find out. But I've not heard that term in relationship to law of attraction.
Okay.
What's your understanding, Tanya, of what smudging is?
It brings about more positivity, gets that negativity from out of you, out of your home, or whatever you want to use it for.
Okay. I would say this, that it sounds like it could be something utilized to help you with law of attraction to get what you want.
Oh, okay.
Definitely getting the negative out and putting the positive in would be absolutely nothing but helpful to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions or comments?
Well, I would just like to say that, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. Well, I would just like to say thank you. This is a very valuable training. I'm really happy to be here in this training. I started studying like Think and Grow Rich and Bob Proctor a long time ago. Things didn't make a lot of sense with my life from that point of time until now, but I realized that the things that I learned back then were valuable, and I need to continue with them.
There you go.
So I really appreciate the training because it's right in line with the way I'm thinking anyway.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate the comment.
You're welcome.
Well, we got a couple minutes left. Any other comments or questions?
Hi, Kevin.
Hi, Betsy.
Yeah, hi. I just, yeah, thank you very much for everything. I just wanted to ask you something. I've been trying to figure out if I want to redo my house or to get a new house instead, something that I would rather have. And I've been doing that for a while since I've been with you. And then
Okay.
yesterday we were going by this house with my husband. He says, "Why don't we stop? It's an open house." I said, "Okay." So we went in, and I mean, I could feel right away that this wasn't the house that I wanted,
Okay.
but I don't know. Now when I'm trying to visualize it, it's not, I'm not as happy as I was when I visualized it last night,
Okay.
trying to visualize what I wanted.
When
So
you were at that house, or when you're trying to visualize, did that house, so here's the very first thing you kind of said, we stopped by and walked in and it just didn't feel like you liked it for you, right?
right.
Okay. Let me ask you, your husband liked it or didn't like it?
Well, he thought it was okay.
Yeah.
We both thought it was okay.
Then
Yeah.
it's certainly not right. It's not it.
No, yeah, right.
So
Right.
first
No,
of all,
no, it's not it.
yeah.
It's not it.
Okay.
But I still don't know how to figure out if I want to redo my house or to get a new house, basically.
Well, if you were to redo your house, can it be completely what you want, or would you be missing some things because the characteristics of your house right now? Like, can you make it everything you want, or is it like, not really? We'd have to give up one or two things we'd like, but it would mostly be what we want. Or can you make it everything you want?
Not everything.
What would be
It won't
missing?
be everything that I want.
Okay, well, like what would be missing that you
Well,
would?
I would like a beautiful scenery outside where we're
Okay.
overlooking beautiful scenery.
Mhm.
I mean, we can do a porch, but I mean, our backyard is not very pretty right now at all.
Okay.
Um,
Is it?
and it's,
Can you
go
make your
on.
backyard the way you want it, or is it one of those? And again, we all live in different states and houses and stuff, right? So we have different views. Um, are you looking at for it naturally, the surroundings to be beautiful, or something you could make beautiful yourself, or is the backyard too small to do it, kind of thing?
Well, it's not, well, right now, grass doesn't even grow back there because we build a building,
Okay.
his, over the garage, and it
Okay.
blocks all the sun. So, I mean, I know you can probably get fake grass or whatever,
Right.
but
Okay.
astro grass. But
So you kind of answered your question already, Betsy. The one that you're in is probably not the one you're going to end up with if you stick with it.
right. I don't
Because it
think it
doesn't
will
sound,
be.
yeah, it doesn't, I can tell by your energy that it's not what you really want. And you'd be trying your best to make it, it's familiar to you. Obviously, you know the neighborhood, you know the neighbors, you know everything
Right.
around
We've
you.
lived here for like over 30 years. So
Yeah,
it's a long time. Yeah.
yeah,
And it needs to
absolutely.
be redone. So I'm just trying to figure out whether I should put the money in to redo it, and then we move later, or I don't know.
Do you, and I don't know what you do for work right now, but do you have time during the day to watch a little TV? I hardly recommend people ever watch TV, but
Yes,
have you ever watched Love It or List It?
I have. Not that often, but I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
So essentially, Love It or List It is a show where they're in a home, usually a couple, right, a family, and it just doesn't quite function or work out the way they want it to any longer. And so this person who's a designer comes along and gets ideas from them. They're given a budget to work with or whatever to try and make that home as close to what they want as possible. At the very same time, you got a realtor that takes them around showing them homes that hopefully fit what it is they really want, that that fit within a budget or whatever too. I'd say take the budget out of it for the fun, but when watching the show, it's interesting because when it's all said and done, now their house is made beautiful, much nicer usually than it was. However, a lot of times it still doesn't have everything they wanted, or maybe in the process of trying to fix it and get it done, they ran into some issues. So some of the budget got spent on fixing things instead of on making things the way they wanted in the process. And then the realtor, again, he's done his best to show them homes that would absolutely meet their needs. You know, like, what are you looking for to make, what would it take for you to basically move out of this home? And so it's kind of a
Right.
contest between the two of them, you know, and then at the end, it's, are you going to love it or are you going to list it? It might be fun to watch that show for a while to see in your mind if you lean more towards wanting to, you know, list it, which means move into another house, versus redo your house and love it and keep it.
Okay, I'll do that.
I don't know if that's a law of
Okay,
attraction, Paige, but
thank-
it's something that came to me as an idea for you.
Right, right. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right.
Kevin, can I
Yes.
ask a question?
Sure.
It's Rika. Hi,
Hi,
good
Rika.
morning.
Good morning.
You know how when you talk to just people here and there, you go to church, you talk to people, you meet your friend in the store, you talk to them. It's how do you resist when people with the intent of expressing something positive,
Mhm.
they're really expressing it in a negative way? Like, I don't want to get COVID. I don't want to get sick. That's a
Right.
positive thing, but they're expressing it in a negative. And I'm coming to really realize more and more that it's beginning to kind of paralyze me with fear,
Okay.
you know?
Okay. So one thing that you could do to reiterate what you want while you're in their presence, and you could say, you don't have to say, I've known this for years, and try and make them feel bad.
Mhm.
Right. But what you
Yes.
can say, let's say the person's name is, I don't know, Susie. And that, you know, that's when you run into Susie, she talks that way. Say, you know what, Susie, I agree with you. I wouldn't really want that either. I heard something the other day, though, really positive, that actually has helped people not get sick. Would you like to know what that is?
Mhm.
And she's probably going to say, well, yeah. Say, well, scientifically, they found out that the people that speak positive about their health versus negatively just have a higher percentage of health. And a lot less of those people tend to get sick. So one of the things that I'm doing right now is, instead of saying I don't want to get COVID, is say I'm so happy and grateful that I remain healthy and strong no matter what's going on in the world.
Good.
And then they might go, oh, that's a good idea, and they may want to change, or they won't. But what you want to do
It
is,
changes me.
it changes you, because you just said what you do want in their presence. So some form of saying what you do want to counteract what they're saying, or immediately walk away from them and counteract it yourself. And if you know that that's the only thing that they're going to do over and over and over again, then if it's possible, stay away from them for a while. I mean, we all have that choice of who we are around. Some of it's more challenging than others, especially if it's a spouse or a child in the house, right? But
Mhm.
for the most part, we get to choose who we spend time with. We have people that we're used to spending time with, and that's our programming that connects us with people like us. But I would say go find people that think more in the way that you want and spend more time with them, just like you're spending time with us right now. Go find people that are really good about health and belief in health. And I mean, for every case that you could find somebody out there that something happened to them, I've run into people, multiple people in their 80s and 90s that actually did catch the flu, and they recovered just fine. So to them, it was just a flu. And even that, you know, and I know situations where one of them in the family did, the other didn't. They were asymptomatic. The other one got well. It's over. They're done. They've already been traveling and doing other things since. So,
Yeah.
but you talk about what you do want, not what you don't want. That's the best thing to do. And there's definitely some work behind that. So you make it easier on yourself when you stay away from people that don't talk in opposition to what it is that you want.
Yeah.
Just, it's less work that way.
You know, sometimes, especially in the morning hours, when you do your morning exercises, your mental thing, I just sometimes, when I start thinking about what I want, where I want to be, I just sometimes get such a sense of almost fearful paralysis.
Because you're trying to
Where's
figure out how.
how to
You
get
don't
there?
know how, you don't know how to make it happen. That's where the fear is coming from. If you already knew how to make it happen, you'd have zero fear about it,
Mhm.
but you don't know how. And we've all been programmed in this world that we live in to focus on figuring out how to do stuff. And what we've been saying all along since day one essentially is this: you decide what you want, you get in a state of happiness, joy, thankfulness for having it, and you allow God in the universe to give you the revelation, intuition, and inspiration necessary to know what the next move is to take to start receiving it.
So just let the how go and just concentrate on your dream.
Yeah, the how shows up after a while.
Mhm.
If you go, have you seen the movie The Secret?
I haven't seen the movie, but I've read the book.
Okay, well,
I don't know. I'm
you have
sorry.
access to Netflix?
No, I don't do Netflix. I'm not
That's
a
okay.
TV watcher.
That's all right. You could type in The Secret just in the YouTube, and I know they even have a version. It'll be about an hour and a half.
Mhm.
It won't, it won't be as clear. It is pretty as TV,
Yeah.
but it's in there. But even in the book, Jack Canfield was talking about wanting to earn $100,000 and then later on $1 million. But really, it wasn't strictly the money. He realized the way to make it happen, what his mentor told him was, how much do you want? But his mentor didn't say, okay, focus on $100,000. When his mentors, when he set that as a goal, his mentor said, okay, focus on living the lifestyle you would live if you earned $100,000 already. So instead of sitting there and focusing on $100,000 the whole time, he focused on, okay, I've already received the $100,000. What would I be doing? What would my life be like? And he said for him, it took about 90 days before he came up with an idea of a specific action to take. Because he finally got in vibration and his subconscious mind accepted it. And then he started receiving nudges of what to go do. And then he made sure he followed those nudges, even though they were different than what he would have come up with just thinking logically. And then that year he didn't receive 100. He received somewhere, I think it was 94,000 something.
Yeah.
He was like, but were we upset? He's like, heck no. And then his wife is like, you know what? It worked for 100,000. You think it will work for $1 million? And he said, and he literally, I don't know, let's try it. And when he tried it though, again, it wasn't try and figure out how to make $1 million. It was, let's see if I can get myself living $1 million lifestyle in my mind instead of $100,000 lifestyle. So he spent his focus there. And then that's where he got the inspiration for Chicken Soup for the Soul.
That takes a lot of fun.
Yeah, somebody was saying something.
Yes, Kevin, I have a question.
Yes, it's Connie.
Can you give us some tips on strengthening the imagination or helping us to enhance our visualization skills?
Some tips. The biggest tip is to do it. What I would probably recommend that you do, if you can remember back, is be more like a little kid than like an adult.
Okay.
The difference between a little kid and adult, and why things didn't just manifest right and left for every little kid, as they were imagining whatever it was when they were little. Why,
Yes.
Like when I'm playing with my friends when I was a little kid, right? You're playing cops and robbers or whatever you're playing, right? I didn't turn into
Yes.
a cop, right?
Right.
Poof,
Right.
right? Because also in my imagination and in what I was doing, there was no intention specifically to be a cop.
Right.
However, I'll take my my wife's brother. When he was younger like that, he wanted to be a pilot in the Air Force. Every time he played that game, he did it with the intention of eventually really being it. So he didn't actually let go of it as a pretend thing like I did, let go of it playing cops and robbers. He was like playing it because that's really what it was. And in order, he did, by the way, become that, but there were some things that had to happen for him to do it. Not just the normal, like go to school, do this stuff, but he had to have, for whatever reason at the time, he needed a little help getting it. And that help came through a relationship with a senator. So the law of attraction allowed him to interact with a senator that helped him get into the Air Force and get the position he wanted. But the point is, he had the intention all along as a kid that he was going to be a pilot. He just had to wait till he was legally old enough to fly the plane before he could fly the plane. That's essentially about how long it took him. When it wasn't legal for him to do so, he couldn't. But he was, as soon as it was, boom, there he was in, and he's being trained and did his thing. So that's the intention he had to be a pilot with his imagination is the same intention we need to have when we go imagine ourselves living our life the way we want it to be. It's with the intention of it being real, not with the intention of I'm playing this game, but I'm going to stop this game at 5 o'clock and then we're going to go watch a movie, right? Or we're going to go play golf, or we're going to go eat dinner. No, we're doing it with the intention of making it even stronger and stronger and stronger, so that there's no doubts, fears, or worries any longer, so that the subconscious mind can just deliver us. The subconscious mind will deliver the thing. God will actually give you the revelation, inspiration, intuition to help you receive it. He's going to tell you you need to make a left turn over here when you would normally go right. He's going to tell you call this person when you haven't talked to him in 6 years. He's the one that's going to tell the person at the other end of the world to contact you when they haven't talked to you in 6 years. Just let God do his part. Let the universe do its part. They've got separate parts. And your part, though, is you're doing it anyway. So here's what I will tell you. Whether we like it or not, we are impressing an image and a feeling and a vibration. So we can choose it, or we can be helter-skelter with it. If we choose it, we end up with what we want. If we don't, we usually end up with what society thinks is normal. Whatever we've accepted that to be, then that's what we end up with. So be like a kid, but be like a kid that's not going to turn it off. You know, be like the kid, be like the boy that's going to do it till he gets his dog.
Playing pretend.
Yeah, but play pretend, but use your imagination that way. And you don't think of it as much as pretend. But use your imagination. If it's a car that you want, you're driving that car. You're not staring at a picture of a car. You're using the car the way you would use it. If it's a house that you want, go into the kitchen and make dinner in that house. Go into the living room, sit down and relax and read a book in that house. Go out to the back patio and sit out there and look at the view, or go swim in the pool, or whatever it is that you would do in your dream home if you already own it. Go use it in your imagination as if it's already yours. That is how you actually go about doing this. You don't think of it as something in the future. You think of it as something you're doing right now. Is that helpful?
That is.
Okay,
Yes.
cool.
Mine is financial freedom.
Well, so financial freedom, here's what I would tell most people. When somebody puts in, I want this amount of money, or I want financial freedom, the reason you don't have it right now is because that's too vague. What is financial? It's financial freedom is just a symbol, kind of. It's a thing that we say, but every single person on here, financial freedom is different to us in what it really means. So it means that I can go shop and not look and not even take a grocery
Right.
with me. I can fill my basket and I don't add up in my head how much I stuck in the basket. It means I
Right.
can go to the restaurant and I don't look at the right side of the column when I make the decision what I'm going to eat. I just get what I want, right? The different people have different ideas of what financial freedom would mean to them. So whatever that means to you, write it down. Write down not just the one thing, but write down, what your life would be like if you were already financially free. I'm financially free when I go to the restaurant, I do this. When I go shopping, at Bloomingdale's, I don't even go when it's on sale. When I get a ticket to go on the airline, I've never looked at Coach any longer. Matter of fact, I don't buy the ticket, my personal assistant does. They know what I like and they make sure it's ready. Those are things you may not be used to, but that's where you use your imagination and have fun with it. Don't worry about trying to make it happen right now. Make it real first in your subconscious mind, make it real in your imagination. And what'll happen eventually is you will kind of come out of your thought process, come back into what you're calling the real world, which that's just not what it is, but the world we're living in. And the world you're living in is going to feel fake. And what you were imagining is going to feel real. When you successfully have done that over and over and over again, now you know 100% that the subconscious mind is actually working on your behalf instead of against you anymore.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So I have one more thing for you, Kevin, because I've been on this path for a while. And I'm realizing from sharing with the group here why I haven't had that particular event happen yet. It's it's my own fault. Okay. One of the things though that I do believe is that God puts us in place to be of service. So it's not just, oh, I want this, part of it is giving back. So, part of it is it's like a circle. So I've always been cognizant of that. So I have one of my best friends who had problems a couple of years back, and I had her move in with me. And since COVID, she had lost her job and she's really not been able to help me. I mean, it was good for me because she helps me by paying rent and contributing.
Yeah.
And what's happened is the opposite. She doesn't have income coming in. There's no contributions. And even as such, where she was helping, I see that being less and less. So I'm not feeling good about it. I want to make a change. I'm visualizing dancing in the space when it's all empty and helping her package those last few things now based on this conversation. I don't want to feel bad that I have these feelings that, I can't help my friend anymore. So that's kind of where I get tripped up. I always get tripped up with trying to be that good person to help others. And then I stop my visualization of what I really want because I feel part of the process of getting it is helping others.
So you are going to probably 90 to 95% of the time to receive what you want, you probably will do something that will be helpful to someone or really helpful to multiple people. There'll be that 5 or 10% where you're actually, God's just going to give it to you. Okay. You're not going to get to choose which is which, or you shouldn't do that. You should let God give it to you however he wants to give it to you, through whatever channel he chooses. Every time you do this in a creative way, if you go back to the Science of Getting Rich, that was the first book we went through, you will find that when you want something, in the whole process of it coming to you, there's going to be multiple exchanges probably along the way to make that happen. Even the breakfast you eat this morning or the lunch or the dinner, there were multiple people involved with making that happen, even if you're just making a sandwich at home. Because somebody grew the grain, right? Somebody turned it into bread. Somebody made the mayonnaise, there were eggs, this and that. Somebody packaged it. Somebody put it into a vehicle and drove it to a grocery store. All these things happen just so you could eat a sandwich, right? And that was beneficial to every one of them because every single person that did one of those things, either as a business owner or as an employee, received compensation in some way, shape, or form. So every time you go want something or do something, you are helping the world. That's what I had to understand is, for those of you that have a little challenge with like a lot of money or whatever, if I buy a Ferrari versus any other type of car, right? Versus just a typical sedan, point A, point B. If I buy a Ferrari, I'm going to be judged for sure. Okay. But here's the interesting thing. If I buy a Ferrari, that is going to be that's going to be $350,000 that gets spread around over time instead of $35,000 getting spread around over time. Because what's going to happen is, the same thing. You got people that made the rubber, that did the manufacturing, did the engineering, all this stuff that went into it, and they may receive more. But what I found as I went through the food chain is, I'm kidding around here, all right? I'm not knocking anybody who does this. I used to be a Walmart manager of a supercenter a long time ago. But basically, all the money eventually ends up at Walmart. Okay, if you're getting what I'm saying is a joke, right? I mean,
Yeah.
the person that goes and shops at Neiman Marcus, the employee there maybe get an employee discount there, but they probably don't do all their shopping at Neiman Marcus. And then the person who serves them, right? It's kind of this thing that it gets passed and passed and passed and passed and passed. It's just people get to eat better at one level of it than the other. People get to live in a house that's nicer at whatever level. But that's not really a bad thing. That you shouldn't feel guilty for getting something that it is that you really want because you want it. As long as you do it in the creative way, you're not actually harming anybody. And the money actually just goes through more hands before it hits Walmart. All right, guys. I've stayed on with you a little bit longer, unless somebody's got some burning thing they feel like, I gotta ask it now or I can't sleep tonight. Anybody got anything like that, or are we good for today? You got something, Lillian?
Yes, yes. I
Okay,
have a question. How are you?
good, thank you.
Good. Okay, so my question is, I have a refinancing coming up.
Okay,
And so the money from that, I was going to take to invest in a business.
okay.
And so my question is, do I first visualize receiving the check from the refinance, and then put all my energies and everything into that belief and then go to the next part of buying the business, investing in a business, or do I do both at the same time?
Okay. Well, first of all, do you see any hiccups with the refinance? Like, is there something in the way that it would naturally happen?
COVID, it's like slowing everything down. Yeah.
That's just, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know where you live, but at least in California, real estate is rocking.
Okay.
Okay. There's more signing agents being hired. Yeah, there's the loans are one of the things that are still moving and grooving. And I don't know about your area, but pretty much anything related to a loan on a home, companies, that's one of the places they're still making money. So those businesses are turning as many mortgages and refis as they possibly can, to keep their businesses up and going. And they're actually prospering. They're kind of like an Amazon.com that just things actually got better. They weren't hardly affected by it. A few people decided to wait on selling their homes, but a lot of people have still been doing refis and buying, and the number of homes available on the market is so low that prices have gone up higher, even blah, blah, blah. So I wouldn't be too concerned, but actually I would go further than that with you on the whole business is, do you feel inspired to do a particular business, or is the business a means to an end of receiving a certain way of living?
I think it's both.
Okay.
Because my goal is to be a millionaire by 2027, because
Okay.
I read The Secret like
Why are
4
you
years.
waiting? Why are you waiting so long?
Because I really had no idea how long it would take, and I was trying to.
Yeah, I put the offer out. I put the offer out there to you. I could help you do it in less than 2 years, no problem.
Okay. But yeah,
But anyhow, if you want to wait 7 years, that's okay. But, um, but anyhow, what I would say to you is focus on the lifestyle. Again, the millionaire symbolic, right? You got to focus on what life is like at that level and live it now in your mind. And then let God and the universe tell you what steps to take to get there. And just be open to that revelation and inspiration, intuition coming to you to take those steps. And I'm not saying it's not refi your house or have a business. I'm 100% not saying that. You're already on a path. And you very well may have been inspired to do all of that so far. So I'm not going to say one way or the other. I don't know you well enough. But I would say that the focus on, some people can stay focused on being a millionaire, but the millionaire as just dollars and cents doesn't really mean much to God in the universe.
okay.
And psychologically, it may or may not for you. If it really means if it's really truly highly symbolic for you, you might be able to push for it by that, because you can get super excited and inside about the idea of being a millionaire. Most people think they would, but they don't. They actually, what we have to do is say, no, what's my life? What is the life I want to live? And then the amount of money required to live that life will show up in your life to do that. That's kind of what happened for me. I didn't set, when I went from 5,000 to 6,000 a month to 50,000 a month, I did not set a goal for 50,000. I didn't even set one for 10 or 20 or whatever. What I did is I said, here's what I want my life to be like. And I didn't know that God in the universe decided for me that 50,000 was going to be plenty to do it at the time. But it worked, right? But what I was clear about is I wanted to work part-time, and I wanted to have, to be able to enjoy the money. Even if I'm working part-time, I wanted to have enough money. If I wanted to go out and do something that I like doing, I could just go do it. I didn't necessarily at that point feel like I needed or wanted to buy anything and everything. I did buy definitely some stuff. Okay. But I mean, I was more into the freedom mode at that point in time. So that's the life that I kind of got. It was like effortless money, pretty much working 10, 15 hours a week, having fun doing what I was doing. To me, that was just as good as any freedom or, being a millionaire or not being one or whatever. But that was for me. Everybody on here, the reason I'm saying this to Lillian for all of you is what Lillian wants and what you want doesn't really matter as long as you focus on what you want. Right? What Lillian wants for Lillian, if it's being a millionaire, maybe that's symbolic of proving to somebody something, maybe even to yourself. But it's one of those things that I find that very few people that focus on strictly a dollar amount get there. When things get, when your subconscious mind starts fighting with you, the strength of the desire goes away. For most people, there are a few out there that can focus strictly on becoming a millionaire or multimillionaire, earning X amount per month or year, that can do that. But usually it's in a competitive way that they're trying to accomplish it, and it becomes a grind. And when you get there, you actually don't even enjoy it. That's happens to a lot of them because they're burnt out. It's like, man, I don't even want to set a new goal because it was so tough getting to this one. And it's like, well, if you let God in the universe do the work, then you actually don't have to beat yourself up over it. You can keep setting goals for the rest of your life and keep achieving them because they never wear you out.
Okay. Yeah, I think the $1 million was what's much more about the freedom to do other things that you want to do and not have to go to work anymore, and live your life your way and give back and travel and do other things. So I think for me, it was just come up with a number and come up with a year by when, so that you kind of stay on task and work towards that. And if you get the $1 million, great. But if you don't, at least you went on a path to self-improvement or, learning about yourself or what kind of things you're capable of doing when you stretch yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I would, all those cool things you just said, that's where the focus ought to be.
Okay, got it. So, right. So the end in mind is what I need to work to focus on.
that it'll become, it's easier to program that in, and it's easier to get excited and get the positive emotions going and feel it than it is just looking at a number on a piece of paper in an account somewhere.
Got it. Okay.
That doesn't mean you don't write any of that down, okay? I'm just saying, if you try and just sit there and visualize $1 million, I'm a millionaire, I'm a millionaire,
Yeah.
you know, it doesn't work nearly as well as I'm on the beach doing whatever, and I'm serving in this way at this charity, and when I go out to dinner, here's where I go, and when I drive, here's what I drive. That's realistic to us. I mean, it's not realistic, but but that's what will be accepted by the subconscious over time, and it knows that it's trying to match your vibration and your feeling, so it'll give you the essence of what that is.
Okay. Got it.
Cool.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, everybody, I'm going to let you go, and I will see you guys in the days to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach Kevin.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. See you tomorrow.
Yes, thank you.